Hello, welcome to my video. Today I'll be walking you through the process of how I created a vintage inspired Snow White outfit using mostly thrifted items. You may have seen a similar concept done by Rachel Maxey in her But Make It Vintage videos, where she takes characters like Disney characters and creates them in a vintage style. If you're not already subscribed to her channel, you should really go check her out if you like vintage fashion. So as a brief introduction, hi, I'm an aspiring seamstress of about 8 years, self-taught seamstress at that. I adore vintage fashion of many different kinds, anything ranging from the 60s downward, so to speak. I sew probably half of my vintage wardrobe. The other half is thrifted finds and pieces that I found through estate sales and whatnot. But enough about me. Let's get back to the project. When this project came to mind, the first character that came to mind was Snow White. She certainly has not always been my favorite Disney princess. That spot is definitely reserved for Merida or Elsa. Well, she's a queen, but that's beside the point. But I love Snow White's color coordination. The yellow, the blue, and the red, and the black hair, I've always loved it. So, that being said, I've always wanted to translate that into a costume of some sort, or outfit. I do feel like Snow White is a very easy way to, or easy character to translate into a 1950s or 40s styled outfit, vintage styled outfit. She's already got the hair and she's already kind of got that facial shape. The makeup style is all very 1940s to 50s because when the movie was made. That aside, I think it'll be super cute. So if you'd like to see the end results, keep watching the video. So let's jump right into it. To create this look, I used a thrifted blouse, thrifted fabric, a thrifted belt, shoes I already had in my closet, and an Amazon wig. So for the skirt, I drafted my own pattern using a calculator, a circle skirt calculator that is, which is very, very easy, let me tell you. So starting off with about 1.5 yards of fabric, I found the center of the fabric and started drawing out my waist radius, which measured out to be about 4 inches according to the calculator. So I wanted my skirt to be about 25 inches. So taking the tape measure, I marked that measurement all the way around. So to create a seam where we're going to input the zipper, we're going to cut a line on the side of the skirt. Since my fabric has a stripe pattern to it, I found where it is vertical on the skirt and cut straight down there. To create a pattern for the waistband, I utilized some of the scraps from the skirt itself and basically cut out 4 rectangular shapes with my waist measurements. Now to sew everything together. Taking our waistband pattern pieces, we're going to sew the shorter sides to one another of 2 of the different pieces. Then we're going to sew along the top and flip it inside out. Bringing it to iron, we're going to press this all down and press down the open seam at the bottom. This is where we're going to encase the skirt. Now pinning the skirt piece to the waistband. And sewing that down with a top stitch. Now, this is a trick I like to use when I want to input a zipper. Starting off with the first stitch to attach the ends of the skirt together, I will use a very, very, very loose stitch on the first 7 inches that I go down on the skirt, and then reset the settings and go back to a normal stitch. This will come in handy later. Now, pressing open that seam we just made, and taking our zipper. Since it's actually not the measurement I need, I'm actually just going to take a zigzag stitch and mark where I want it to stop, and then simply cut it. From there, we're just going to pin the zipper face down onto the seam we just made. Switching to a zipper foot, we're going to install the zipper now. Remember that seam earlier? We're going to rip out those loose stitches, and there you have a perfectly installed, simply installed zipper. After letting my skirt hang overnight, since it's cut on a bias and gravity will actually shift the way the fabric and the fibers set, I laid it out and cut it even. Then, taking it to be pressed, I pressed down the hem of the skirt. This is a very tedious process. Since circle skirts are so wide, it requires a lot of patience. Lots of pressing and then pinning, and then pressing and then pinning, rinse and repeat, so to speak. And here I am sewing down the hem of the skirt. So now that the skirt is done, we're going to move on to the wig. I bought this lace front wig off of Amazon for about 30 bucks. And it definitely needs some work. So starting off, I decided to pluck the wig. And before anybody tells me anything, yes, I know synthetic wigs are not necessarily the best to pluck down, but this hairline was way too thick for me to do anything with. So moving on. After getting the wig plucked and finished, I shaped it and cut it myself. Now I am not a professional in any of this. Let me put that out there as well. This is all very, very, very new to me. But I did my best. The end results were adequate. I felt a lot like this is incredible before it was curled, but not so bad. So moving on to the curling process, using just regular foam rollers, I took piece by piece, patiently going in and trying to curl the very, very ends, which is the tricky bit, because synthetic hair, synthetic fibers don't want to curl quite as well as natural hair. And this was quite time consuming, getting the entire head of hair curled. So now that everything's set, I went over it about 3-4 times with a clothing steamer just to ensure that it was fully steamed and heated. After letting it sit for about an hour, I took all the little rollers out and then brushed it out like a normal wet set. At this point, I started getting a little concerned because it started poofing out quite a bit, looking like a poodle. But just like any other wet set, the more you brush it, the more it will take its shape. And here is the before and after. Not so bad for my first time. So now to put everything together. My makeup was already done for the day, so I really didn't have to change much from my routine. Here I'm just setting down and gluing down the wig using basic hairspray and shaping it a little bit more. I also made a little bow accessory to add on top of all this. Here I'm just blending in the lace of the wig using some foundation and adding a tiny bit of blush, touch of red lipstick, and my heart-shaped locket. And that is the completed look. I hope you all enjoyed this process. You may have seen a similar concept done by Rachel Maxey.
What about a sketch about a private detective who solves murder cases,
Okay.
but only talks to people's hips?
Because they don't want.
And he solves every case. He's like, who killed Mrs. Peterson? What are you doing?
Get your face
I got
out of my
everything I need. He closes his pad. I got everything I need here, and solves the case. Get your face off my crotch. That's all I needed from you. Something like a canary.